on the troll.
Hello and welcome to Mzansi. We're back again. It's that time of the night. We are definitely recording at night. Yeah, so the story is Enyobeni. We brought you that story when it happened. I think when things are about to conclude, we definitely have to bring you that conclusion. So there was a judgment against the owners of the so-called tavern.
Today. It was very interesting.
And mostly people are not happy, obviously, about what they deem as slap on the wrist.
It's a slap on the wrist indeed, in my opinion.
Yes.
It's a slap on the wrist. I'm not happy with the judgment. I feel like there's nothing to be learned, especially by people who sell alcohol to underage drinkers. There's no lesson here. It's just a slap on the wrist. I mean, what is 5,000 rands?
It's nothing.
It's Trump change, you know. And
considering that there are people's lives involved here and there are families that are affected by this, the aftermath. I know that many people would say that, hey, you need to take care of your... But, I mean, we all know how things work in South Africa. These people also have their so-called freedom. But then you expect the government who gives these kids rights, who says these kids must not be beaten, who's protecting them, the so-called protector. When it's time to protect them, you expect that protection to be shown. And this judgment, as the NPA prosecutor who was arguing along those lines said, I mean, this should set precedent.
it's a slap on the wrist.
But now this one, as he was saying, that any judgment that seems to be lighter than the punishment he was submitting they should get of 5 years and whatnot, it will set that precedent that it's easy. You can always go in and do whatever that you do, break the law, sell to minors these substances, and if you are caught and something happens, you just have to pay a fine of 5,000.
Simply, that's it. That's it. There's not much that you can really be punished for selling alcohol to children in South Africa.
Yes.
I don't know about other countries, but in here, it seems like it's a light thing, you know. It seems the problem of underage drinking in the country is not going to go away anytime soon.
Yes.
And the judgment today was way too lenient, in my opinion.
Way too lenient.
2 years ago, on a Sunday, we woke up to the devastating news of 21 young people, mostly under the age of 21 and 18, having passed away at Enyobeni Tarven in the Eastern Cape. The Enyobeni tragedy is one that really shocked us as a country, and a lot happened to the trial for the owners of the tavern, you know, the married couple Siakangela and Veiws Ndevu, where 21 young children passed away. And I remember seeing footages of these people when after the incident it happened. They disturbed me, they troubled me. They looked like people who really didn't care.
Yes,
on the news.
And to top it all, it's not only the observation that you made, it is the submission that they also made in court. Which showed, in my own opinion, no remorse. As even the NPA was arguing that it did not show any remorse after the judgment was handed down. There was no, we see our mistake. The argument was on the basis of arrogance, if you ask me.
Then we'll get into the argument. And also they were smiling. You know, when that sentencing was handed down today, they were smiling, they were happy, they were relieved. I'm like, this doesn't look like people who care much about those 21 young people that died on their premises, by the way. You know, it was very strange. And on the 26th of June 2022, We also woke up to those shocking news and the mass deaths that happened at Scenery Park, East London. The owners of the establishment, Tusia Kangela and Vuyokazi Ndevu, have this week been found guilty of selling or supplying intoxicating liquor to persons under the age of 18 years. The pair appeared in the East London Regional Court, where the court found that the state had proven its case beyond reasonable doubt that the couple were responsible for the sale of alcohol to underage children and held them variously liable for the crime. So the verdict was that Enyobeni Tavern's owner and operational manager have been found guilty of selling alcohol to a minor. Vuyokazi and her husband, Siakangela Ndevu, were convicted in the East London Regional Court on Wednesday by Magistrate Kevin von Bratt. The Ndevus were facing counts of selling or supplying intoxicating liquor to persons under the age of 18 years and responsibility for conniving with and permitting employees and agents to sell or deliver intoxicating liquor to persons under the age of 18 years. So both of them pleaded not guilty to both charges. The magistrate said that there was no evidence that alcohol was sold to minors except to Sinemihlali Haka, who was 17 in June 22 when 21 young people lost their lives at the Eastern Cape Tavern. Haka testified during trial that he was sold alcohol at the establishment. So the actual allegation the two are facing were that Sinemihlali Haka, who was underage at the time, he was sold the liquor at Enyobeni on the evening of in question. So, not that the accused sold alcohol to him or that they were aware of the fact that it was being sold to him. But I have no reason, he said in court, whatsoever to doubt that he was indeed sold alcohol at Enyobeni that evening. This is the judge while he was making his judgment.
Yes.
He says that he has no reason whatsoever to doubt that Haka was indeed sold alcohol at Enyobeni that evening. He was 17 at the time. No attempt was made to verify his age. This obviously was an offense in terms of the Liquor Act, and as such, two accused would be legally liable for that offense.
Yes.
During the trial, both of them said that they have given instructions to their employees not to sell alcohol to minors. They said that they gave their employees instructions not to sell alcohol at the minors, to the minors. And another thing that I also found troubling is that there were no signs in that tavern that says no underage drinking. Do not sell to under 18, or is it under 16? What is it in terms of the alcohol?
No, was that tavern built in a designated area of such?
And it had no signs to say no underage drinking.
So you build in a wrong place where you are not supposed to build such things. On top of that, there are no signs that are saying that. On top of that, now we should now take your word that no, you gave instruction to people you employed not to sell
Alcohol.
to kids, to sell to kids.
So the judge said that issuing instructions was not enough because they were saying that they had told their staff not to sell alcohol to kids. But you know what the tricky part about this is? When the story broke out, we were following it, right? There was social media. There's a Facebook page from Enyobeni that posted children.
Yes.
I don't know why this prosecutor did not bring that up. That Facebook page posted kids who were underage and had alcohol. I remember that post from Facebook.
Yes.
Their page was full of underage children with cans of alcohol, your savannas, posting for photographs, advertising the place.
Yes. Inviting the younger kids.
And it seems like this was not used. I was a prosecutor. I would have used this as exhibit something, you know.
Yes.
But it seems like maybe they were not aware, because I'm sure they took the Facebook page down, because immediately after the heat was there, the Facebook was taken down, I remember. But people had screenshots circulating of what was happening in that tavern all along.
They don't look like people who are going to stop selling alcohol, those ones. I know they are saying the license and whatnot. If you ask me, they don't look anything like people who was remorseful. Therefore, I don't think they will stop doing that business. What else would they do?
Well, the judge further said that it's overwhelmingly obvious from all the evidence.
I guess that's the word
that a lot.
That's the word that is the trigger, like Baxter. Overwhelmingly
obvious.
Yeah.
That all the evidence that a lot of young people, most of them probably underage, even if we don't have the specific names and ages, were present at Enyobeni. It is obvious this was tolerated by the accused, and there was no proper access control. Not a single person who testified there or in the court
What
was
about the
asked.
number? What about the number of people that were there?
Remember how crowded it was? How packed it was. They were packed in there like sardines.
I don't understand why all those things. And in fact, what was in that alcohol?
What was in that alcohol? Because the post-mortem results came out and they were quickly debunked. They said that that is not the case. They said that whatever was in the alcohol is not what took those children's lives. That's what they said in the media, because it was the news were getting fast-tracked that the alcohol could have been the cause, but they quickly took it back and said that's
Could
not
it
the
have been the
cause.
fake alcohol?
It could have been fake alcohol.
Because there
with
is fake
proper
alcohol.
balance of alcohol measurements. But then they said, no, that's not what caused their death. Some allegations were that outside gas heater, the outdoor gas heater, maybe it was leaking or something. The parents still don't know how their children passed away. They don't. It's 2024. They still don't know. Apparently, there's an inquest that is supposed to happen at another court with regards to the events that took place and what actually happened, which is yet to happen. It hasn't started. So it's quite sad what is happening to these families.
It is. I mean, again, we go back to the results of not having money. Because if you had money, you would do your autopsy
Yourself.
and
with a private
and then keep the
institution.
results.
Yes. And you would also arm with lawyers
Yes.
that were sharks.
Yes.
By now, they would have found out what happened. And these tavern owners would not have gotten away so lightly.
And if you ask me, they got away.
They literally
And
got away with
do you
it.
think they're going to do it again?
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe with a different face.
Perhaps in a different location
Or maybe in the same location to show the arrogance.
to show their arrogance.
I mean, if you look at where the tavern was, it's a residential area, not in a place that is designated for that.
where people stay with families.
Yes, it's like
Where
someone
people
just
stay with
changing a house, their own house,
and making it
and
a
making
tavern,
it a
and
tavern,
then getting it
which
a
is not a
license.
right way of doing it. So that shows arrogance. That shows that bazongenzani, who's gonna talk to me?
And honestly speaking, generally, people who are tavern owners are arrogant.
Obvious.
They're very arrogant. They never want to put themselves in their
The shoes of
fellow-
the others. You know,
Yes.
they want to. If you talk to them, they will tell you, you are jealous, and they will start wanting to attack you. I mean, you are protecting yourself.
And
I mean,
your
the
children.
parking is the issue, obviously. If you are going to just take a house that is not meant for that, I mean, these developments today, they come with spaces that
Little
they are
space
selling.
Squeezed
No,
in.
they come with spaces that they are selling, though, for business. They even mention
yes.
business.
Yes.
So go by there if you
Buy
think
a business stand.
you are capable of doing that. They don't want. They want shortcuts.
The one-shot card.
A person can have 7 taverns started in the rooms.
In a community.
In a
where there's
community.
Kids who are watching every day. Even I would be uncomfortable in a community.
And the
where I'm
problem
living
is
close to a
people who
tavern.
are
I don't wanna
issuing.
lie.
The problem is people who are issuing that. When you come and verify the place, because you need to do all those things, how do you still
How do
say
you
that
sign
person
that
passes?
off? Like, how do you make it pass and say, give you your license, issue that license, you can
There's
operate.
parking. People are going to be able to come and park. No disturbance around. The neighbors are cool with it. All that process.
The
The liquor license board. How do you approve that?
And I'm not hearing much of their voice in this situation.
And in fact, those are the people that should be sued too.
They should be sued, right?
How did you approve that tavern? What were the basis for you to approve that tavern, and which is called Enyobeni Tavern? It's not called Enyobeni Shisanyam.
Or restaurant.
Because now that's how they squeeze in.
Yes, the alcohol
The
and
alcohol,
the tavern
yes.
element with the shisanyama or a restaurant. They
Because
don't.
only a black person can only create a tavern. I'm glad that there's one politician who's against alcohol. I heard Mr. President, former President Jacob Zuma, hammering on it as saying that people of no color, why do they have to be drunk all the time?
It's to take away the power, the numbers.
People of color are drunk all the time, and young people who are supposed
That's
to be
the sad part. It's
yes.
young people mostly who indulge in these diluted waters. They are young
Yet we don't
babies.
profit on this thing. Even those of the taverns, you can't call that thing proceeds.
You know what's scary to me is that there's no remorse coming from them about what happened to those children.
They don't show any remorse.
There's no remorse. There's no, we are actually sorry. They don't even look down. Umfazi wakhona shows up with makeup and stuff. Koro homonat, you can tell that, you know what, they are cruising nicely. Well, then let me further unpack, and some of the reasons will make sense, you guys, as we go through this together. So the judge further said not a single person who testified was asked for his age, and had anyone else asked for their age despite the fact that minors were on the premises. He said, I'm probably not alone in suspecting that a lot of young children might have been sold alcohol there, but while the evidence is strongly suggestive, I don't think it has been proven beyond result that any other minor was sold alcohol. The court cannot, in a criminal matter, rely on suspicions or probabilities. In conclusion, the court finds the two accused are legally responsible for the sale of alcohol to at least one underage person. You are found guilty. So in my opinion here, I also feel like it is the communities who were affected's fault. You are telling me that the prosecutor, the state, could not find one or two or three of those children who were underage to come and testify in court that yes, we were there on that night, we bought the alcohol and we divulged and we danced. They couldn't find five inyana because
They could, but then after that, where do you stay?
Because these people
I mean,
look mother
you don't
arrogant.
become a tavern owner just nje. Even if you do, but eventually you transform to Brajo, Braden, what. So if those kids came after these people are released like this, then where would they be? You don't understand what we are facing with these courts and whatever that you may call it.
And this child took
it's
like
difficult
2
to
years.
even assist them. It's hard to even assist them. Even if you saw something, you want to run for your life. You don't even want to show your face that you were there because you are afraid.
That didn't help because now we are here.
Where is it going to help? In fact, even if they came, who's to say they were still gonna walk?
They might have walked still. Because it seems like underage drinking is not taken seriously by the South African
Who's
courts.
to say they were not gonna walk? They walked. These people,
they were
walk.
still gonna walk even if those children came to testify,
Yes.
it seems. Well, before the sentencing, the defense pleaded for a lesser sentence on the basis that Mr. Ndevu suffered high blood pressure. So his high blood pressure is more important than the 21 lives that were lost in 2022. And Ms. Ndevu is healthy, is an employer. Apparently, this lady is the one who's the owner of the tavern, and the husband is the, what do they call it, operations manager of the tavern. So the lady is the Shebeen Queen. She's the
Where's
head
she
one in
working?
charge.
Probably government.
Most probably. She's the one running the day-to-day business. And they've never had anything like this, their lawyer said, the defense attorney said. She said that they had never had something like this happen before. They're entrepreneurs. They've been in business for so long. Nothing like this has ever happened before. And he said that the admission of guilt fine, they pleaded for a suspended sentence. There's an admission of guilt fine that they did not pay. It was actually paid by two of their employees, 2,000 rands each after the incident. One of them later testified that they were under the impression that they were paying for the case to go away. They were not aware that they were admitting guilt to selling to underage kids.
Oh.
It's a mess, I'm telling you, this trial. It's been very wishy-washy, the events that were taking place.
So that's how this lawyer moves.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a lady,
and
by the way.
she's a lady, a woman.
A woman.
A woman. So the prosecutor said that the Eastern Cape Liquor Act 10 of 2003, it says that any person who contravenes or fails to comply with the provision section 60 must be guilty of an offense and liable on conviction to a fine or imprisonment not exceeding 5 years or both such fine.
So what do they do with what these guys are saying?
What do they do?
That we were under impression that we were just paying for the case to go away.
That's what they said.
And I believe
that.
I believe that. They probably didn't know that they are admitting that they sold to young kids.
Yep. It's ridiculous. So at no stage did any of the accused indicate that they are remorseful for having been found guilty and of their conduct, the prosecutor said. And failure to take reasonable steps is indicated in the judgment. He described them as two unrepentant. So far as what happened at Enyobeni, and so far as what happened with the selling of alcohol to minors. The state submitted that the matter must be viewed in a serious light. The prevalence of minors visiting the taverns and being provided with liquor, And I remember the time that the story broke out. The people of the vicinity of Enyobeni were saying that it was normal for children to be seen there drinking. As to how they did not do anything about it, only they know as owners.
You don't blame those people. You can't blame those people. We are bullied in those areas.
Even tavern owners allowing this conduct. The prosecutor...
We are bullied by these tavern owners.
Pleaded with the judge that they should not be given a light sentence of a mere 2,000 or 3,000 as the whole country is watching. It could send the wrong message.
It did.
It did, honestly. It did. And it can either encourage or discourage the sale of alcohol to minors, not only in the district of East London. It will go beyond given the presence of cameras since the commencement of the trial. A message should be sent
that
this
ask
should not
me,
be tolerated
it
from
sent
Shebeen
a
kings
wrong
and
message.
queens.
It sent a wrong message that you can get away with anything. As long as you know your way and you have a lawyer, you can get away with anything. someone was arrested for what did they call this? What did they arrest Mr. Zuma for?
Not wanting to appear before contempt of court.
Yes, and then people pass away in that tavern.
21 young lives.
5,000.
Youth.
5,000 is the only thing that you need to pay. Where is it going, even that 5,000?
I don't know.
Government.
It's going to the state. 5,000 each or 100 days in prison. So if they can't afford to pay that 5,000, it's 100 days.
They will pay
Obvious, they're going to pay that 5,000. So you're telling me the value of 100 days in prison is 5,000?
That's a very cheap one.
Why couldn't it be 500,000 if you really wanted to make them feel the pinch? Why? I don't understand. So they were found guilty on just one count of selling liquor and conniving with employees to sell liquor to underage persons. So the fine was labeled as a slap on the wrist by some family members of the deceased who had gathered at the court. And it seems as though the families of the children who died that night will never know justice, unfortunately.
No.
I mean, what is 5,000 rand compared to young lives lost? Okay, let's unpack also what the magistrate said as reason for his judgment. East London Magistrate Kevin von Braat stated that the state presented a lot of circumstantial evidence that only the testimony of the then 17-year-old Sinemihlali Haka could be trusted for convicting tavern owners Veiws and Siyakhangela Ndevu. And the Eastern Cape Liquor Board brought the charges after 21 young people died at the Ndevu Scenery Park Tavern in Enyobeni. And the couple had pleaded not guilty and took the witness stand on their defense. And after the state closed its case, the defense applied for a discharge according to Section 174 of the Criminal Procedure Act. But the prosecution successfully opposed that application to secure the conviction. And Senior State Prosecutor Tango Pangalela led evidence of 9 witnesses, including 2 minors who survived the tragic event. Now, out of the many, many kids who were there, it seems that they could only find one to testify. And it's so unfortunate that we don't even feel safe in our own country to become witnesses in a court of law so that justice can prevail. Isn't it sad?
It is sad.
So Haka testified that he drank at the tavern before the tragedy. So this is this one brave witness who was 17 and was there on that night, who decided, I'm going to testify. Sorry. And he said that the security personnel and the owners did not attempt to verify his age. The tavern owners have shown no remorse throughout this entire trial, and they have never given the families affected an apology.
And they're not going to get any.
And in August last year, an unremorseful Siyakhangela refused to apologize or sympathize with the parents of the 21 young people who died at his tavern. He said that even if he were found guilty, he said, and I quote, "I would be like Jesus dying for sins I know nothing of." Look at him comparing himself to Jesus.
After selling alcohol.
The victims, aged between 13 and 17, died during a pens-down party to celebrate the end of the June exams. Delivering the judgment, Magistrate von Braat said, "Let me say that the extreme punishment on first offenders will be impossible. A fine will be appropriate." He also said it would be difficult to imagine a scenario where the Veiws would be issued with another liquor license under the present circumstances. Well, this is South Africa. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. I don't think they're going to leave this Shebeen Queen business alone.
I don't think so too.
And he added that having considered all the evidence and in the interest of the Scenery Park community, each of the accused is sentenced to a fine of 5,000 rands or 100 days in jail. Magistrate Kevin von Braat said that as far as the evidence is established, the accused were not personally selling the alcohol to anybody. We established beyond reasonable doubt that at least one minor was sold alcohol at Enyobeni on the night in question. It would be extremely unusual for the maximum penalties to be imposed on the first-time offender, and the state did mention that the option of a guilty fine was offered to the accused, so clearly the state had no issue with the imposition of fine for this offense. And after balancing all the emphasis as fairly as possible and considering the application that has been made as well as the interest of the community, each of the accused is sentenced to 5,000 rands or 100 days in prison. So some parents broke down after the sentencing, and as they said, it felt like it was a slap on the wrist. One of them said, "We were hoping for a maximum sentence, a fine not exceeding 1 million rands or imprisonment for a period not exceeding 5 years," said Kulekile Ngandana, the father of Bongoletu Ngandana, who died at the tavern. And all other parents are not happy with the sentencing. It is difficult for them to celebrate this. One of them said, "We are not happy."
They couldn't be happy.
One of the parents, Ntombizotwa Makakula, said that, "I'm not happy at all with the sentence. I expected a harsher one. Although the sentence didn't refer to the death of our children, we were expecting the court to send a strong message to tavern owners who continue to sell liquor to minors. Despite the sentence imposed on the Veiws, they'll continue to act in the same manner." And one of the mothers, Noluthando Nkani, whose daughter Inati, 18, died on that fateful morning, says that she heard about the conviction but will only know her feelings after they have been sentenced. She said something very interesting prior to the sentences. She said, and I quote, "We heard on the news that they have been found guilty, but we will truly know our feelings after they have been sentenced. As the parents, we really hope that they will be given a suitable sentence and not a slap on the wrist. We also noticed that the focus is not on the deaths of the children. The focus is on them selling alcohol to minors." Noluthando said that despite this case drawing large media coverage, they are shocked that they still do not know the cause of death. The doctor that was assigned to this case told us that they found chemicals in their bodies and in the alcohol that they consumed, but the percentages they found would not have killed them. To this day, they do not know the cause of death. Noluthando said that the couple's lives have not changed, the couple who own the tavern. They are still operating in Zumpunzana, a new life. I don't know whether I pronounced it correctly. Zipunzana. They are still operating in Zipunzana, a new life. And people say the slip, say Enyobeni Tavern, even though the establishment in Scenery Park has been shut down. She said, "We lost our children and they're living their lives like nothing has ever happened." I knew I had a feeling that they are not going to leave this business alone.
They're not. No. But Lala, if you think that they will, they are not going to. And considering that it was started by a wife, if they were remorseful, they were gonna stop this whole ruckus.
This is sad.
But that's what you get in South Africa. That's law. That's democracy.
The law. That's the constitution. That's democracy. It seems to be protecting perpetrators than it is actually victims.
Obvious.
That's my opinion.
It was made to do so.
People are getting away with it.
It has never been rectified. When we say something about it, people attack us because they think we are attacking their careers. But this law was never corrected if you look at how and why it was administered initially, it was to protect perpetrators against certain people. Has it been corrected? No, it has never been corrected.
No.
It is taken as a Bible truth of life in South Africa. And that is the problem. It will always have loopholes for perpetrators to exercise and use it in their defense. And it without a fail, it always protects the perpetrators.
Now, the reason why they got a guilty verdict was because of this minor who testified, and who testified about the tavern owners. The minor was charged with 2 offenses, actually, of selling or supplying intoxicating liquor to people under the age of 18. And responsibility, yes, for conniving and permitting employees and agents to sell or deliver intoxicating liquor to people under the age of 18. So I'm going to... was it speculated that this minor was working in that tavern as well? It's my speculation, the way they're describing that they actually gave the charges to this minor. And that's what actually made them testify against these 2 owners.
Also, the minor was charged?
Initially. So another witness, also by the name of Nalom Tizana, who was 24 years of age, testified as to how the manager of the infamous Enyobeni Tavern watched as young patrons fell down and some died in June 2020. She said that when she arrived at the tavern just before 1 a.m. with 3 friends, they were told Jagmeister shots were being offered free of charge. Her friend, Inati Ngoza, 17, was among the 21 people who passed on. Mtizana said that the tavern manager, Siakangela Ndevu, encouraged them while they were queuing to buy alcohol. He said he would like to see one of us own a tavern and be employed, Mtizana said in court. This happened not yesterday, throughout the trial. She said that there were minors in the queue and Ndevu witnessed them buying alcohol. The manager and Vuyokazi Ndevu, the owner of the tavern, faced charges of selling or supplying liquor to people under the age of 18 and conniving with and permitting employees and agents to sell or deliver liquor to people under the age.
Yes, the proof.
So Mtizana said that they took pictures and asked Ndevu to take their pictures, not knowing who he was. This witness was saying, we did not even know that this man was the owner of the tavern, but he was there and he watched as those children were falling. He said something else on the news. He said that he wasn't there. Well, she said Ndevu complimented her and offered to buy her expensive alcohol. Ndevu covered his face with his left hand and laughed as Mtizana testified. So she said Ndevu was lying when he said that he was not at the scene when the young people died. He said, I saw him on TV the next morning saying that he was at the bushes at the initiation school. Yes, I remember. That's what he said on the news. He said that he was at an initiation school. He was not there on the night. But this lady or this witness is saying he was actually there. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know that he was the boss. He was there all the time while this was happening. He did nothing but look at the children as they were laying on the ground. Another interesting thing that took place in the trial was that the former Enyobeni Tavern employee who paid an admission of guilt fine after the deaths of young people and minors of the tavern at the Scenery Park in June 2022 testified that he did not understand that he was admitting to guilt by paying the fine. Sivile Nkamlana.
Sivile Nkamlana.
Yeah, it's Xhosa.
No, let us give you a chance on the comments.
Guys, can you South Africa?
And you tell us what you think. Because when we say these things, Ours is
We are
to,
being accused, right? There are some people who come and just catch us as we are on this train of finding out what justice is in South Africa. And they're like, you guys are making up stuff. You guys are making up theory. Is this all made up? Is this made? Are we making it up?
if others are not focusing in our English, yeah, we will break English because it's not our language.
It's not our mother tongue.
We don't care as long as you can understand us. And if we need to use it in a proper way, where we get paid to do that, we do so. But for now, allow us, our people, to break it.
Is this justice? Is this the kind
It's
of
not
justice
justice.
that you will be happy with
No,
if
this is
your
not justice.
child died that night in that
this
premises?
is not justice. Not at all. Just leave and pose that question like that. Are we done?
We are done. Guys, tell us what you think in the comment section down below. I'd be very interested to find out what you think about this case.
What is your view?
What is your view?
There are many other cases that are still hanging. Remember that Enyobeni dinging, it was accompanied by many cases where people were randomly taking people's life in taverns.
Yes.
We haven't
those
had
ones,
anything.
we don't even know how far they are and what is happening with them.
Mm.
Because in the midst of...
Yes, they are still investigating until they are called, and then we talk a different language. Yeah, it's a bye from us.
Bye, guys.